Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams, who is the Executive Director of the Institute for Peace and Prosperity. Daniel, good to see you today.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
Well, good. We have a subject today that's in the news, been there for the last 2 days, and that has to do with Garland, Texas. There's been an attack and a lot of headlines about ISIS in America, ISIS in Texas. There's attack on, and it's stirring up a lot of interest and a lot of headlines. One thing I've learned over the years is that the immediate reaction by most individuals are wrong on these incidents, and that's what we would like to do on this program, is to sort this out. And of course, the biggest headline came when ISIS said they did it, they were in charge, and more to come. And I have a little bit of question about that. Do you think there's justified reason for us to at least sit back and look at this a little bit slower and find out just what really went on?
Yeah, you're right. You know, thinking about the power of propaganda, every newspaper, every website, ISIS takes responsibility. But buried, several paragraphs, if at all, even in the article, it's always according to this Site Intelligence Group, which is a privately run intelligence service in Washington, run by a woman, Rita Katz, who's a very controversial figure. She's an Israeli-American, very much in favor of the U.S. being involved in the Middle East. And she's been the one who has been supposedly given all these bin Laden videos in the past. So that part isn't in the headlines. It's just the...
Right. If this is a stretch, which it may well be, who might benefit from this? The people who would like us to be, a little more engaged in the Middle East?
I think the neocons would certainly be pushing the president with this headline. You've got to put troops on the ground. You've got to redouble your efforts. And it's interesting, just as, the fight against ISIS was flagging, we talked recently about this oil field in Iraq that was taken over. So it's kind of convenient in a way. I don't want to be conspiratorial, but that this is happening now.
Yeah, and the individuals involved aren't just newcomers. They just didn't pop out of nowhere. It looks like our $100 billion of spying on people, they were actually knew about these two individuals, and the FBI has talked to them all, which doesn't answer questions as much as it raises questions on if they knew so much about them, why did it even get this far? Fortunately, this turned out to be, if somebody was really out to do harm, it turned out to be about a fizzle. One policeman got wounded in the leg, which is horrible, but there were no bombs and no mass killing, and that's why you just wonder whether people should get hysterical over this and think, ISIS is coming, ISIS is coming. But what do we know about these two individuals? They've been watched by the FBI for a good while.
Apparently, one of them, Elton Simpson, has been watched since 2006. He's been monitored, and you're right. It does make you wonder, because every one of these high-profile arrests and attacks, or thwarted attacks, have involved an FBI informant or an FBI officer who's been involved in filtrating the groups or goading the groups on. And so he's been under their watch since 2006. I think he was arrested in 2009 for telling an FBI informant that he was going to go to Somalia to fight. And they've been watching him ever since. So.
Yes, and they've been building up fear for a long time, and there have been others who have tried to calm down the fear, because people overreact when there is this tremendous amount of fear. But whether it's economic fear or international fear, people are more likely to give up their freedoms. But the fear that is being expressed, I think, up to now at least, has been way overboard. It has been said, and it's statistically said, that the odds of you and me, any American, being killed by Al-Qaeda is about 55 times greater by our American police. And that of course is very disturbing. That's a different problem, and that doesn't mean you dismiss anything. But lightning is a lot more dangerous, and one thing is a lot more dangerous. Really, I got a little bit of a chuckle out of this, that a major financial crisis in this country is more likely to cause deaths than Al-Qaeda. So
the Fed should be on the watch list.
Yeah, maybe we should. But innocent people, can be killed if somebody comes over here, and nobody wants any of this. But the people who want us to go over and use this as an excuse, well, we have to be more aggressive. We told you ISIS is gaining on it. I wish they'd quit giving them some weapons, is what I wish, and inciting them. But we say the police kill more people than Al-Qaeda in this country, but it never seems to cross the minds of a dedicated neoconservative about the hundreds of thousands, even a million people in the last 10 or 15 years, innocent civilians who have died at the hands, of our bombs, our cruise missiles and our bombs that we send over there. That to me, if that's not understood, I think we'll continue to overreact with this. Yeah. So we must, be concerned about that. But I still believe the most important thing is an adequate explanation, not to jump to conclusions. If the FBI knows something about it, maybe that should be the angle the press ought to be after. Go find out what did the FBI really know about these individuals, and how did they get that far? And I think there was a statement made by somebody about wasn't the reaction by the guards a little bit unusual as they marched up, as they drove up to the gate?
Yeah, it was strange that they, if they were going to create a terrorist attack on this event, which was an anti-Islamic event put on by another notorious, Pamela Geller, a notorious anti-Muslim activist. But it's strange, if you're going to have a jihad, you stop the guard and you ask them for directions, and then you shoot him. It seems like you'd cooperate with the guard so you could get inside. So there must be either very hapless or something else. But it struck me, I think you're right, we should be concerned, but I remember you've always said, they come over here because we're over there. And remember, you were ridiculed a few years ago at a debate about that, and of course you were backed up by Mike Scheuer, career CIA analysts, saying that that's exactly right. But it seems to me that they're going to once again draw the wrong conclusions, even if there is a threat.
Yeah,
do you think?
Because we don't know how this came about, whether sometimes I think our FBI agents are watching people and they figure, how far am I going to let them go? And then we're going to stop them, and then we're going to be heroes. We stopped another one. Wasn't there a report out not too many years ago of 50 events that had been stopped? And the president even looked into it and said that wasn't true. Yeah,
exactly. Virtually every major one of these events were not true.
All these times they're saving us. But I think it still goes back to the old principles. If you become fearful and think the government's role is to make perfect safety for us and perfect safety nets, economically speaking, the government can attempt to do it. They're never successful, but they always do it at the sacrifice of liberty and rarely achieve their goals of, say, a better economy or a safer world. Because I think our policy is going to eventually lead to a lot more harm to us, because I don't think, even without this, I think the pressure is very, very great to send more troops. And because what we're doing is failing over there, whether it's in Syria or whether it's in Yemen. Right now, I think their ground troops are moving into Yemen, from Saudi Arabia. And if they get cornered and about to lose that completely, and our bombs aren't taking care of it, I would think that there will be a time, just as we slipped into these many other wars, whether it was Korea, Vietnam, or Iraq, Afghanistan, it just escalates. Right now, I believe the American people's sentiments are on the right track, because the message they're sending to our government is no troops are to be killed. They haven't said quit killing other people, but they said no American troops should be killed, which is a good idea. But I firmly believe that a policy of non-intervention will guarantee that we will have a lot less of our troops killed, a lot less threat of Al-Qaeda, and also it would serve for a more peaceful world. Does that mean there will be no radicals in the Middle East fighting? No, but I think there would be less, because we're all the radicals are fighting, and you have the Shia fighting the Sunnis and the different factions. So we always go in and we want to help the moderates, and we send them money and we send them guns, and guess what? the war escalates. So maybe someday we're going to get the American people to send a message to Washington. So far they haven't heard it, but the message ought to be a pro-American, non-interventionist policy which is designed, by the way, for peace and prosperity.
Yeah, that sounds
and that's
good.
why people should go and look at the Institute for Peace and Prosperity and find out exactly what that policy would entail. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to the Liberty Report, and please come back soon.